27% of Americans believe that the living and dead can communicate with each other, according to a Chapman University Survey on American fears. You are about to learn of an alleged psychic that during her time helped solve numerous cases. We are about to learn of 3 cases that she was instrumental in. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse. Welcome to another installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. In this installment, we'll be learning about the case of Dorothy Allison. This case first aired on the May 6, 1988 special number 6 episode of Unsolved Mysteries. While I do view myself as a skeptic, due to the way that psychics were mocked and ridiculed during the 1980s and 1990s, however, due to the fact that Dorothy Allison was instrumental in helping solve some cases, it causes me to think about her validity as a psychic. Ultimately, it's up to the viewer to make the choice for themselves. Is Dorothy Allison a fraud, or is she the real deal? Up next, it is the case information. Okay, time for the case information. The case name is Dorothy Allison. Her full name was Dorothy Margaret Allison. She had no known aliases. Her date of birth was December the 29th, 1924. Her age as of the televised airing was 63 years old, and her age as of the recording of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries was 100 years old. Margaret's age currently is 100 years old. Sadly, she passed away on December the 1st, 1999 at age 74. I was actually not even aware that she passed away. I thought she was still alive. It wasn't until I was doing some research into this upcoming reading that I learned that she actually passed away. The case location was Nutley, New Jersey. This case classification is the unexplained. The type of phenomenon that this revolves around is psychics. The date of the phenomenon was recorded as 1960s through the 1970s. Is this case on YouTube? Yes, you can actually find this case in season 1, episode 15 of the uploaded YouTube series. I will post a link to this case so everybody can see it. The original televised air date was May 6, 1988. This was special number 6. This was before Unsolved Mysteries actually became a weekly running show, and that relied more on specials, which was, I think they were done every quarter of the year until they were granted some TV time to become an actual series. Okay, so I have the promo for this upcoming case. Now, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to read to you the case of Dorothy Allison, but I have a little bit of a promo that I kind of clipped together of the case itself, and it'll just give you a brief idea who Dorothy Allison is and and the cases that I will be reading to you. So let's do this, and 3, 2, 1.
In 1967, a 5-year-old boy fell into a rain-swollen creek in Nutley, New Jersey. In 1974, a New York banker boarded a commuter train to take him home to New Jersey. During the train ride, he vanished. In 1976, a 14-year-old schoolgirl left her home on Staten Island to look for a summer job. That afternoon, she disappeared. What links these cases together is Dorothy Allison, a housewife from Nutley, New Jersey. She predicted where all 3 bodies would be found, what happened to the victims, and remarkably, in 2 cases, predicted when they would be discovered. Dorothy Allison and the authorities with whom she has worked claim she has psychic powers.
Okay, so with that out of the way, that gives you a little bit of an idea of what it is that I will be reading to all of you. When I return after these commercials, I will start the case reading of Dorothy Allison.
Goodyear services cars? I thought they were a tire company.
Goodyear does transmissions? I didn't know that.
Tune-ups, too? Goodyear does brakes?
500,000 brakes, Goodyear?
I didn't know Goodyear serviced mufflers.
Mufflers? I had no idea Goodyear did tune-ups, mufflers, or anything but tires.
If you still don't know Goodyear services cars, you don't know how good car service can be. Goodyear. Think of us for auto service, too.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great day. Let's switch over. So we got this. Excuse me, I think I'm about to sneeze. I hate it when I'm starting to record and then all of a sudden I feel the need to sneeze. It drives me nuts. Okay, so let's get the case loaded up. Dorothy Allison, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to read, as always, I will read to you all, and I may take a minute or two to take a quick break to get something to drink, to wet my throat, or I may need to stretch. I am actually, as I'm recording this, I'm dealing with one hell of a fucking migraine right now, and my right eye, it feels like it's literally just about to blow out of the side of my head like a fucking shotgun blast. Okay, let's try to take that off. So I may take a break. I may even just stop recording and resume recording once this headache gets over. I already took some medicine, and it didn't really help at all. Okay. So this is in the investigators and psychics section of the Unsolved Mysteries wiki here. Let's actually do this. There we go. The case name is Dorothy Allison. Her real name is Dorothy Margaret Allison. Occupation was she was a psychic detective. Her place of birth, was Jersey City, New Jersey. Date of birth was December 29th, 1924, and the location, I'm guessing, of these cases was Nutley, New Jersey. Okay, now for the history and the background. Dorothy Allison, a housewife and psychic from Nutley, New Jersey, has assisted police departments in hundreds of investigations. The authorities believe her abilities are genuine and have been amazed at the details she has come up with for their cases. Sergeant Don Vicaro of the Nutley Police Department said that seeing Dorothy's predictions come true was the most amazing thing that ever happened to him. Wow, like that is actually some high praise. A lot of guys will say, you know what? Me getting my first car or my first child, those are some, big things for me. Not this guy. This guy watching a psychic is what did it for him. Okay, to each their own, I guess. Am I right? Okay, Dorothy has lived in New Jersey all her life. She has 4 children, and her husband, Bob, is an engineer. I like that. Her husband, Bob. For a construction company in Manhattan, New York. I'm actually curious. Let's do some quick research here. I'm just going to mark this part right here, just so I remember where to go this year. Because I'm actually curious how far, because I've never really been to the East Coast that much. I went there once, I think it was like 2008 or 2009 to visit some people. And then that was it. I went up to Massachusetts. So let's do this. Maps, google.com. Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit. See here. Let's do New Jersey. Oh, hold on. Let's switch this. New Jersey to New York. Now I'm just New Jersey to New York. See, I don't know that much, so I'm just doing kind of like a roundabout. Like how long or how far is it? Wow, 270 miles. Just go from New Jersey to New York. Wait, is that New York? Hold on. I'm guessing it's New York. That's where it ended up. Yeah. Okay, well, it doesn't say exactly where. It just said New York. So I just kind of gave the two basic things. But yeah, hold on. Let me see. Let me move it so you can actually see it. 4 hours, 34 minutes, a total of 270. Damn, that is some hellacious commuting, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit. I'm wondering if her husband actually had like a house up in New York and that he would actually just stay up there. And like say when he had some free time on his hands, then he would come down to visit the wife. Because I honestly could not imagine having, that is over 9 hours of commuting each day, ladies and gentlemen. 9 hours. Holy shit. And I thought commuting from Longview to Kelso every day, 5 days a week, it's basically almost like 45 minutes, roughly, give or take, for me to commute via public transportation. I thought that was boring as fuck. Can you imagine what it would be like driving 270 miles and 270 miles? Oh, geez, I'd go fucking crazy. Okay, so enough about that. Let's go back to this. Okay. So he had a company. Oh, it's Manhattan. I'm sorry, Manhattan, New York. Probably still wouldn't be that much less time difference. When she was 14, she had the first indication of psychic abilities when she had a vision of her apparently healthy father's death. In the vision, she saw a mourning wreath on their front door. 3 days later, he died of pneumonia. Dorothy was understandably upset when her prediction came true. She believed her abilities were evil. However, her mother, who was also psychic, told her she had a gift. She said Dorothy did not need to worry and would not always see bad things. She said Dorothy would go far with her talent, but told her not to use it for profit. Now the question is, hold on, there you go. Even if she did not profit from it, like say money wise, her being on television and it's kind of not blatantly, but kind of like singing her praises about how she was able to get these cases solved. Isn't that kind of profiting from it? That's just the way I see it. Isn't that kind of also profiting from it? It may not be like a monetary factor, but still she's getting some sort of profit from it. Dorothy's mother also warned her that she needed to be courageous enough to stand alone and stay strong in the face of skepticism. Despite her mother's reassurances, Dorothy spent years wishing she did not have her abilities. At one point, she became a parlor psychic and read people's futures. Then, in 1967, Dorothy had a detailed dream about about 5-year-old Michael Kirkus, who had disappeared after falling into a creek in Nutley. She went to the police and accurately described his clothing and the area where his body was later found. Following her accurate prediction, police departments contacted her asking for help solving cases. Well, hold on. Now, in the promo that I showed everybody before I started doing this case reading, the first case that they showed with the little boy running along a creek, this is what we're reading right now. Since the Kirkus investigation, most of Dorothy's cases have been homicides, and many of the victims have been children. She often keeps photographs of the victims and stays in touch with their families. Dorothy has often thought, why does this happen to me? Why not somebody else? It has been hard on her emotionally and physically. She even quit for 3 years because it was so difficult for her. However, she has since learned to accept her abilities because she knows they can help people. And that's kind of like what her mom was kind of warning her about. You got to stay true. You got to be, you got to be careful and everything. See here. She often prays to God asking for help. She also wears a medallion of Saint Anthony, protector of the lost and found. Here, let me move this up. Dorothy describes her psychic visions as being like turning on a TV and getting a picture in her mind. Sometimes they are in color, but other times they are black and white. She sees the past, present, and future together. Sometimes her visions are fast-moving, jumbled, and difficult to decipher. She describes it as a kaleidoscope of pictures in her mind. Ooh, that sounds like horrendous. Imagine having these things just popping into your mind and it's just kind of swirling around. That would drive me fucking nuts. Her visions occur both when she's asleep and when she's awake. So this poor lady, she doesn't even get like any fucking break from it. It's like, you're asleep? Oh, here's a whole shitload of stuff for you. You know, like that would drive me. I would pretty much be sure I'd be like in some form of an asylum if that happened to me. In Dorothy's visions, she has seen victims, the locations of their bodies, and even their killers. When working on murder cases, she often sees the crime occur, and smells the odors from the scene. To try and provoke a vision, she likes to go to the victims' homes and touch items belonging to them. She uses their picture to help pinpoint their location. She looks through crime scene photographs to help visualize the crime. She also develops astrological charts for people connected to the cases. Dorothy works 18 hours a day out of her kitchen. The poor lady can't even afford like a little office or like a study, you know, like in her home. She has to work out of the kitchen. The poor lady, I feel bad for her. She handles at least 30 cases at a time. Holy shit. Sometimes she works over the phone. Other times she goes with police to the crime scenes. You're telling me this poor lady, she will work on handles at least 30 cases at a time. And yet the fucking police can't even give her like her own little office? They can, yeah, well, we thank you for your help. Office? Oh, fuck no, go work out of your kitchen. You know, if I was a captain of a police department, and this lady has helped the Kelso Police, department solve 30 cases, I'd be like, you know what? Let's give this lady let's give her an office, you know. No. Off to the kitchen with her. What the fuck? Dorothy is called almost daily by detectives and family members of missing persons. Although she has never paid for her work other than travel expenses, she has been asked to help in hundreds of investigations. She has traveled across the United States and amassed dozens of certificates, letters of appreciation, and honorary badges from the police departments for her help. And not once did she ever get a fucking office to work out of. After Dorothy helped the John DeMars case, Detective Sal Lubertazzi of the Nutley Police Department volunteered to become her liaison. Well, at least the lady's getting some fucking help nowadays, at that time, with other police departments. He screens every request for help and explains how she works. He also helps interpret her visions. His wife, Phyllis, sorts the mail and answers letters. The use of psychics in police work is almost always controversial. Frequently, they are inaccurate. All too often, they are charlatans. But there are a few who do indeed seem to have a special gift. The unexplainable ability to predict details still locked in the future. Here, let's move this up. Dorothy claims to have helped solve 90% of the cases she has worked on and helped find more than 100 missing persons. She has predicted where bodies would be found, what happened to the victims and even when they would be discovered. She also claims to have helped the police solve over 20 murders. Once Dorothy warned a police officer that his daughter was going to commit suicide. Oh shit, which she later did. In another case, she told a beautician that one of her clients was going to commit suicide. She described the woman and said she often held a religious object. After the suicide occurred, the woman's parents asked Dorothy about the object. She said it was in the woman's jewelry box. The parents went to the box and found it. On another occasion, Dorothy predicted the exact time and location where a man would hang himself. In one murder case, she accurately described the murder weapon, a round type of television wire. The area where the body was taken after the murder, the area where the body was found, the condition condition of the body when found, and the suspect's occupation. In another case, she accurately predicted that a missing 14-year-old boy from Maryland would be found working as a cook in California. In many cases, Dorothy's success has been astonishing, but over the years, she has worked on hundreds of investigations, and in many, she was unable to come up with information to help, or that helped the authorities. You know, the way she makes it sound like she really doesn't have any control of when she sees the stuff. It sounds like literally it just kind of happens. See here. Dorothy admits that there have been many times she has struck out completely. There were cases where she wanted to find a child but did not come up with any clues or answers. She does not know why this happens. In March 1988, Unsolved Mysteries looked for a case where they could examine Dorothy's abilities. They found the murder of Lori Zimmerman in Hagerstown, Maryland, where the police were at a dead end. The police agreed to let Dorothy assist in the case and have the show film the investigation as it happened. They gave her no information about the case. They wanted to see if she could give them new information to help identify Lori's killer. Okay, we have some case files that she worked on. I'm not going to click on these links. I'm just going to, read the names and, the little descriptions here. Because if I was to go through all of these, oh my God, it would take forever. So, we have the first case, which was the Michael Kirksisks case. And I already talked about that in the beginning of this reading. Next up, we have Robert Kennedy. In April 1968, Dorothy told Sergeant Vaccaro that either Robert or his brother Ted was going to get shot. She said it would happen soon and in a place far from New Jersey. She saw an Arab or Indian man who was a stowaway on a ship. She believed he would be involved in the shooting. Less than 2 months later, on June 5th, Sirhan assassinated Robert in Los Angeles, California. I didn't even know that she was actually, even part of that case. Or that she read, had a vision about it. Okay, up next we have Patty Hearst. In February 1974, Patty was kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army. Dorothy saw Patty in a small closet-sized space without light. She saw Patty's hair dyed red. She later saw Patty in Pennsylvania and New York City. She also saw her joining her captors and robbing a bank. All of these predictions were true. And if I remember correctly, I think I know for sure Robert Kennedy case was part of Unsolved Mysteries, and I think also the Patty Hearst case was. Here, let me actually zoom in a little bit. There we go. See here, Patty Hearst, already did that. Okay, hold on. Up next, we had Richard Weiler and Albert Sutler. In 1974, Richard and Albert disappeared while flying a small plane. Dorothy accurately predicted that they would be found in a wooded area on December 9th, 1974, and predicted some details of the crash site. Okay. Up next, we have Doreen Carlucci and Joanne Dellardo. On December 13th, 1974, Doreen and Joanne disappeared from Woodbridge, New Jersey. Dorothy saw the words Silver and Mead. The girls' bodies were later found near the Silver Mead trailer camp. Okay, we have John Demers. I'm not sure which case that is, so I'm just going to go past that. Okay, let's there. Esley and Robert Hall. On March 20th, 1975, Esley and her brother Robert were abducted after leaving their home in Union City, New Jersey. Dorothy accurately predicted that they had been sexually assaulted, strangled, tied up, and thrown in a marsh. Jesus Christ. She said their bodies would be found near a railroad, twin towers, and a burlap bag with red lettering resting on a pile of straw. She said the area had a strong smell of horse manure. Their bodies were later found 50 feet from the described area. She also accurately described the killer's face to a sketch artist before the murders even took place. Finally, she took the police to the cemetery where the siblings would later be buried. Okay, we have Susan Jacobson. I don't recall that case, so it doesn't say anything, so I'm just going to kind of move on. Debbie Klein. On July 22nd, 1976, Debbie disappeared from Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Dorothy told the police that they would find Debbie's body sitting up, wrapped in a swimming pool cover with her throat cut, near a sign that read "burnt" on it. Dude, this is some graphic shit. Holy hell. She also gave the police a composite sketch of her killer and said his first and last names were Richard Lee. Hold on, let me get a drink. A few days later, Richard Lee Dodson was arrested and led police to Debbie's body. Everything that Dorothy had described about the scene was accurate. Okay, so we have Son of Sam. That was also a case that was covered on Unsolved Mysteries. Dorothy gave an accurate description of David Berkowitz to a sketch artist and correctly predicted he would be picked up on a traffic violation. Ronald Sticka. On September 22nd, 1977, Ronald disappeared from Lodi, New Jersey. Dorothy saw a blue car, the word Eclipse, a swampy area, and an airport. Ronald's body was later found in a swamp. Nearby was a fragment of a blue car, a bowling alley called Eclipse, and Peterborough Airport. The chief detective said she took them within 50 yards of the body. See, the thing is, like I said, it's this kind of stuff that makes me kind of question myself. It's like, because I grew up like watching television like in the 80s and 90s where psychics were kind of mocked. And like, there was a lady, oh God, I can't recall what her name is. She did this like psychic bullshit network thing. Oh God, I can't recall what her name is. She had like a Jamaican accent, if I remember correctly. That kind of also kind of skewered my view of psychics. You know, so it's hard, you know, like, you know, I'm like, oh, I don't think they're real, because you have people who just try to be a psychic to profit off of it. But you actually have stuff like this list of stuff that I'm reading, and it kind of causes me to have a little bit of doubt in myself. It's like, well, not all of these people can be, you know, fakes. You know, something has to be real going on here, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, we have the Atlanta child murders. Between 1979 and 1981, at least 30 black men and boys were murdered in Atlanta, Georgia. Dorothy told the police that the killer was a black male, a bully who was angry about being poor. She later claimed she identified Wayne Williams a year before the murders. Russell Keller. On October 20th, 1981, Russell was murdered in South Dakota after Dorothy met with Russell's father-in-law. She said, "Don't look any farther. He's involved." He later confessed to being involved in the crime. We have the case of Lori Zimmerman. After that, we have the schoolgirl killer. During the 1980s and early 1990s, several women were raped and or murdered in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. Dorothy had visions of one woman being murdered, dismembered, holy shit, and encased in cement. Holy shit, this is like some mafia level shit going on right here, ladies and gentlemen. She also had a vision of another woman being abducted and murdered. As it turned out, these visions occurred before the murders even happened. These cases were later linked to Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolko. I think I've heard of those names before. And the details of Dorothy's visions were found to be accurate. Heriberto Aquino and Eliezer Guivas? I butchered those names. I'm sorry. In March 1993, I'm just going to refer to them as them because it's hard for me to pronounce them. They disappeared while fishing in New Jersey. Dorothy saw them in a river and also saw a junkyard and the name Roberts. They launched their boat from Roberts Street and their bodies were later found near a junkyard. John Benet Ramsey. Dorothy created a sketch of the suspect. Oh, hold on, guys. Okay, time for the notes. Wow, this has actually been slightly longer than I thought it would be. Notes. This case originally aired on the May 6, 1988 special number 6 episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Dorothy was also featured on Unexplained Mysteries, Psychic Investigators, Secrets of the Unknown, The Phil Donahue Show, and The Sally Jesse Raphael Show. Dorothy was referenced in an episode of Dateline, which focused on the disappearance and death of Timmy Wiltsey. Dorothy published a book, a psychic story about her psychic abilities. Police departments nationwide sent affidavits to Unsolved Mysteries attesting to Dorothy's psychic powers. Some sources state that Dorothy's father died hours, a day, or a few weeks after her prediction. Many skeptics, including James Randi and Joe Nickel, considered Dorothy a fraud. They were unable to find proof that she helped find a body or identify a killer. Nickel described her as a retrofitter, a psychic who throws out a lot of vague information and then says they are correct when few pieces of their information match evidence from the solved case. He also believes she might have gotten some information from the detectives or victims' families. Some of the stories surrounding Dorothy's cases have changed over time. For example, contemporary newspaper articles stated that Michael Kirk's body was found in a pond by a man trying to find a spot to bury his cat. However, later reports incorrectly claim he was found in a pipe as a result of Dorothy's information. Some even state that she took the police to the pipe, and when they cut open, they found Michael's body. 2 detectives in Paterson, New Jersey, accused Dorothy of offering them money to say she had helped them find the body of 8-year-old Delvis Matthias. They claimed he led them on a wild goose chase, made about a dozen wrong predictions about the case, and did not help them find Davis. They also said she asked them to give her a set of phony police reports that she could indicate that she helped solve the murders. She denied the accusations, claiming that the detectives were professionally jealous of her. Other detectives have also said that although she had some accurate clues, Dorothy had not helped them solve any cases. They noted her clues were too vague and profuse to pursue. One detective in the Ronald Sticka case claimed she did not help them find Ronald's body, even though she said otherwise. The police investigating the Atlanta child murders said she gave them 42 possible names. Well, hell, 42 possible names. You could get, lucky with that. Let's see here. And none were helpful. Okay, well, then I was wrong. Also, the police investigating the disappearance in the Clinton Avenue 5 in Newark, New Jersey said she led them to a field near Newark Airport. However, nothing was found. Woke up in the morning, got myself a gun. Sorry. Dorothy continued working as a psychic for the rest of her life. In total, she worked on more than 5,000 cases around the world. She claimed to have helped police find 250 bodies and solved hundreds of murders. On December 1st, 1999, she died of heart failure at the age of 74. She allegedly predicted her own death, telling her family in 1990 that she would not live to be 75, and telling them earlier in 1999 that she would not live to see her next birthday. Oh, dude, that's dark, ladies and gentlemen. That reminds me of that case. Oh, God, I can't recall the name of the girl right now. But there was a girl that was afraid she would not live to see her, I think it was like her 16th birthday. And then when she hit her 16th birthday, she thought she was wrong, so she started to open up and become a social butterfly. And then come to find out, I think she was like murdered a couple months after her birthday. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we have Dorothy Allison at Find a Grave. Okay, so we have Dorothy Margaret Morelli Allison. Her date of birth was December 29th, 1924. She was born in Jersey City, Hudson County, New Jersey, USA. Her date of death was December 1st, 1999. She was 74 years of age. Location was Belleville, Essex County, New Jersey, USA. She was buried at the Brigadier General William C. Doyle Memorial Cemetery. That is located in Arneytown, Burlington County, New Jersey, USA. Her plot is in Site 5455. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we got some pictures. We got 5 photos here. Okay, so we got the photo here of Dorothy Allison. This was actually, I think this was taken from the show itself. Wait, oh, sorry. There we go. And then we have, I don't know who it is. Oh, this must be her husband, possibly. Okay, but we have Dorothy Allison, her date of birth and death, forever in our hearts. And then we also have Bobby Antonides, Sergeant, U.S. Air Force, born December 8th, 1930, died February 5th, 2023. And then we have Dorothy Allison and her date of birth, date of death, wife of Sergeant Bobby Antoniades, United States Air Force. Let's see here. What does it say down here? For her spouses, she had, looks like she had two spouses. Robert this guy right here. I'm sorry, guys. Then we had John Arthur McBride Jr. from 1917 to 1997. Her first spouse, he was born 1930 to 2023 was when he died, and they were married 1959. And she had apparently she had one child, Robert McBride, and he was born 1949 and he died in 2018. Oh. That was actually an interesting, an interesting case. Now, ultimately, it falls upon you. Do you believe in psychics? Do you think that Dorothy Allison is the real deal, or do you think that she could have been a very gifted, gifted person who kind of was fraudulent? Like I said, this is one of the cases that's like, kind of, I feel kind of skeptical because of Miss Cleo. That's the name I was trying to remember earlier in this episode or this installment. Miss Cleo. She really kind of ruined it for me when it came to psychics. You have people like Miss Cleo, and then you have people like Dorothy Allison, and they're like, some people like say Dorothy Allison, she didn't do anything, she didn't really help. But then you have hundreds of police departments that actually say, yeah, she's the real deal. She helped us. So this is like one of those things that it kind of makes me kind of scratch my head. It's like, it kind of forces me to wonder if, she is the real deal, Sadly, she passed away. God, it's going to be, in about 4 years, it's going to be 30 years that she's been gone. I'm wondering if she was still alive now, would she have still been as helpful as she was back then? But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. When I return, I'll be right back with my final thoughts.
Right on the heels of the Mazda RX-7 come two great new values, the new Mazda 626 Sport Sedan and Sport Coupe. Great road cars with a responsive 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 5-speed, steel-belted radials, AM/FM stereo, split fold-down rear seat, all standard, all from just $54.95. The new Mazda 626.
The more you look, the more you like.
It's time for the final thoughts, and basically what we have here is we have a lady that, half of the people say that is the real deal, and the other half saying, no, she's a fraud. Ultimately, I said it before, and I'm going to have to say it again, it falls upon you. I can't tell you what to say, or what to think. I can't tell you what to believe in, what not to believe in. All I can do is read to you the article, and it is upon you, yes, you, to make that determination. Is Dorothy Allison, is she the real deal, or is she a fraud? We may never know because sadly she passed away. But, it's some of these cases that really I kind of like Unsolved Mysteries. Granted, I love Unsolved Mysteries for like the UFOs and the ghost cases, but it's also some of those cases that make you kind of wonder, is this real? And this is a prime example of that. We have a lady here who helped hundreds of people, on one hand, you could think of her as a hero, but on another hand, you could see her kind of somebody who's just trying to cash in on a tragedy, possibly. But that's all I really have to say about that. Next time, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the next installment of Black Site Files of Unsolved Mysteries, I will be giving you the Season 1, Episode 15 review, and I will be covering all these cases that I covered so far in this episode. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has taken the time to watch this video. It means a lot to me. As always, if you do like what you watch, feel free to click that like button, click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and you will be alerted to when I release more content. Like I said, next time, I will be reviewing Season 1, Episode 15 of Unsolved Mysteries, and I'll give you my breakdown of each of the cases that I covered here on Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. Until next time, my name is Jeff, aka GCurse, wishing you all a great day. Stay safe out there, everybody. Peace out.
Tuesday on Happy Days, Chachi's Miracle Wax puts Fonzie on the hot seat. Then Laverne and Shirley try and catch a thief to learn the naked truth. Then Jack moves in on another man's woman on Three's Company. And a movie director takes the cabbies for a ride on Taxi.